They're probably file injunctions to try to expedite some things. They're probably gonna expedite the sentencing, but for now, he is going back to prison until October 3rd when they decide what he gets ultimately sentenced with. So, but what do you think about everything that kind of transpired over the last couple months with this Diddy trial? Is it over? Is there more claims? Did the prosecution mess up? Did the feds waste our time? Is Diddy an innocent man, or is he good at getting away with things? I don't know. I don't know. That's the question I got for y'all. What do y'all think? Um, leave a comment below. Leave a comment below. All right, so let's move on. Totally different topic. Totally different things. And then we're gonna kind of get down to the last little bit of stretch here, and yeah, let's talk about sports, man. Let's talk about these NBA trades and free agency. So again, I said I was only gonna focus on some of the bigger names. I'm not gonna get into commentary about freaking Gary Trent Jr. Getting signed to the Bucks or something. I'm not gonna talk about that, even though he did get signed to the Bucks. But so obviously we know the Durant trade, we know the Desmond Bain trade. So then there's been some other moves. We're not even gonna talk about re-signings, right? So like, because yeah, Jaren Jackson Jr. got re-signed. He took his max deal. Shea took his max deal. We're not gonna talk about that type of stuff. We're gonna get into just actual moves, whether it was a trade or some type of big signing, right? So one name that comes to mind, and this is from a former NBA champion. We're talking about the Denver Nuggets, and we're talking about Michael Porter Jr. So yeah, they shipped them off to New Jersey, and essentially, as it looks, they're blowing up the team. They're blowing up the team. It looks like they've gotten some players to kind of replace him. Michael Porter Jr. is really good, really talented. Coming out into the draft, he was highly touted. He missed a lot of time in the beginning of his career with injuries. He pretty much missed his rookie season, and then he's been kind of getting back. Now, when they went on that championship run, he definitely was. It was great that they had him in the lineup. And I think regular season, he probably did. He was way more impactful than he was in the playoffs. I felt like in the finals, there was a lot of games that people expected him to do really, really well, and he kind of played mediocre. Like he didn't have great playoffs and great finals. But I do think he was a key part of it. At the very least, he's somebody you gotta watch out for. You got this tall, athletic dude that got some weight to him that can get to the bucket and he can shoot. He's somebody you got to worry about. He's somebody you got to pay attention to because he can go off. He didn't necessarily go off in the finals, but a lot of people still feel like he played an integral part. But he don't pass the ball that much. The Nuggets underachieved in these last two seasons, and they decided, yo, we gotta break it up. They are bringing back, was it Bruce Brown? And then I did see another name that was going to the Nuggets that made me feel like, oh, okay, no, I see what they're doing now, and it does seem like they are replacing it, but it does seem weird. I mean, I guess when you fire your coach, and maybe the new coach wants some different personnel. They just decided like, yo, it's not worth it to keep this guy. We got blowed out, and they did resign him. Like, so he's in the middle of a contract. So the Nets will be picking that up, right? So that's one thing, and I think the Nuggets do. Like I said, if I figure out what other move they made, I'll fill y'all in. But there was another big move that they made that really felt like, oh, this is the Michael Porter replacement. So we'll stay up to date with that and check it out. Another trade that happened, and this was like it's like, oh, they're another team, a championship team that's blowing up their roster is the Boston Celtics, and they traded Drew Holiday to Portland. And in exchange, and there was another team in there, and there's some picks that got traded and things like that. But the Celtics got Anfernee Simons, and then people were like really looking at this and like, yo, That's not a bad trade. That's not a bad trade. Like it does feel like, oh, they're blowing their team up. Why would they give up a guy like Drew Holiday? Drew Holiday is still a factor. He's still a beast, but like he don't have that name that like I think a lot of us associate with Drew Holiday. Like he ain't who y'all think he is. You know what I'm saying? Like he's more so a defensive player at this point in his career. He can get a bucket, but he's not a bucket getter no more. And now they got an Anthony Simons, 26-year-old young guy who is a bucket getter. And it looks like even though yes, they are losing a big asset in somebody like Drew Holiday. Now they can play with the lineups a little bit. You know, maybe you run with Simons at the one or the two. Maybe you go Derek White at the one or the two. So and then Jalen Brown gets to kind of play in a more natural position for him. What who else they got? Who else they got? Yeah, that's I mean, without Tatum, it's gonna be tough. They did give up Porzingis. You know, Horford is probably not gonna be somebody that stays around. They lost Cornette. So yeah, the Boston might not be that good, but they might not be that bad either, especially with a young guy like Anthony Simons, somebody that could develop and like for like while he's in his prime, right? Like kind of prime him up because what they want to do is, unless they blow it up completely, they're looking ahead to not this next coming season, but the season after that when Tatum comes back. That's what they're gonna be. Because yeah, Tatum he could play this coming year, but it won't be till late, maybe not even to the playoffs. But again, Achilles injuries, don't want to rush those, and you want him to have a full recovery no matter what, no matter what. So we'll take a look at that. A big release was Dame Lillard, man. The Bucks. They decided they were gonna release Dame Lillard. Now Dame Lillard is another one of these players that suffered a season-ending Achilles injury in the playoffs. So his return for next year is very, very doubtful. So I think the Bucks they look at it like, damn, we got him. We wanted him, but like he can't play for us. He's not an asset anymore. He's a liability. So like they like flat out released him. Now in the NBA is different, you know what I mean? So he's gonna get paid. And they're gonna have that big chunk of money like that they cannot use. Like it's basically gonna be like dead cap space. They're gonna have a big chunk of money, not quite the full amount of his contract, but it's still gonna be over $20 million that's gonna be accounted for the next couple of years that they cannot use. So they have to be kind of tight. But I wonder, I know they did make some other moves. They did sign, yeah, they got Miles Turner. They got Miles Turner, which that was a big signing, but like is that the kind of player that Giannis necessarily needs on his team? They still got Bobby Portis. I know they lost Brook Lopez, but like, is that the kind of player that's gonna keep Giannis in Milwaukee after next season? Who knows? But it doesn't look too good. They're gonna have to reload, man, with some sneaky veterans or something like that, and really think about how this team needs to be comprised. And then DeAndre Ayton to the Lakers, man. Wow. So he got a buyout from Portland. So Portland, yes, it's not gonna be Drew Holiday and DeAndre Ayton and Scoop Jackson and all that, whatever. Scoot Henderson. It's not gonna be those guys. DeAndre Ayton is going to the Lakers, and they're able to get him for like a mid-level exception. So they're not even really paying him that much. But DeAndre Ayton gives them the big man presence that they've been wanting through free agency, through the draft. This is that guy that's gonna do it for him. And I think, yeah, man, a new a new scenery, in a place where they still kind of want to win over there. He's gonna be getting to play with Luca. He's gonna play with LeBron. They still got Austin Reeves. So like now adding Aiton over there, that's a piece for them. That's a piece for them. People forgetting, like, yeah, Aiton's not like a high motor guy. He doesn't look like he's doing much, but he's averaging 16 and 10, you know what I mean, just on the calm, you know what I mean? So and he's probably that's all they probably want him to do there. They still have Achimura. So I wonder if they're gonna play Aiton more at center or if they're going to play him at his natural position at power forward. I think over there in LA he's going to be playing center, but we'll see. But I think I actually do think that's a pretty good move for the Lakers. He can't replace Anthony Davis, but it's a solid pickup. It's a solid pickup.